The most important thing to understand about beauty is that beauty is not a property of objects. We say something is beautiful. It's something. An object is never beautiful, or at least that's a very inaccurate way of using language. It's not objects that are beautiful. What we have in our culture this very deep conditioning, and it's the fundamental conditioning of our culture, that experience is divided in two parts. That it consists of an inside self and an outside object, other or world. And the inside self and the outside world are joined together in three different ways, either through knowing, through feeling, or through perceiving. The mind, the body, and the world. Yes? I know such and such. I love you. I see the house. Knowing, feeling, seeing. So this is the kind of the basic equation that we're brought up with. We're taught to think, feel, and perceive in this way: inside self, outside object, other or world. And after only a few years, we have so deeply taken in this conditioning, not just mentally, but emotionally, and not just emotionally, but really into our body, that most of us, not those of us that are here, but most people go through lives never questioning this fundamental equation. Is experience divided into these two essential, separate ingredients: a subject, knowing, feeling, or perceiving an object? And when we explore our experience, as we do here, we realize quite quickly that formulation of experience isn't based, it's not derived on experience. We never find the inside self or the outside object, other or world, as thought conceives them. Experience doesn't consist of a subject knowing an object. So, in fact, even in ordinary life, when I say ordinary life, I mean even before we become interested in these matters, there are many intrusions into our experience which suggest to us that experience is not the way we think of it. And those intrusions are called love and beauty. We don't realize it, but love and beauty are the experience of the inside self and the outside object or other dissolving. Love is the experience of the inside self and the outside other dissolving. Beauty is the experience of the inside self and the outside object or world dissolving. That dissolution is the experience of love or beauty. In fact, love and beauty are identical experiences. One is through feeling, the other is through perception. The third channel is called understanding or truth. Truth, love, and beauty. They are three names for one experience. And that experience is when we experience as it is, unseparated into subject and object. So when we see an object that somehow precipitates this feeling understanding, we see something or we hear something either in nature or a work of art, something about the object contains within it the power to affect this dissolution. And so we're standing in front of a landscape, or we're listening to a piece of music, and although we don't formulate it to ourselves in this way, because the mind is not there commenting, without our realizing it, the sense of being a separate self is dissolved by the music or the painting or the landscape. And with the dissolution of the inside self, the outside object dissolves with it, because these are two sides of the same coin. The inside self and the other, they arise together and they dissolve together. You can't have one without the other. So when we stand in front of a true work of art or in front of nature, something about this object has the power to either to explode or to dissolve this sense of separation. And so there's this kind of dissolution. And that's why sometimes when we have this experience of beauty, we cry or laugh or we have goose pimples or something. It's a kind of dissolution of the sense of separation, and as a result of this dissolution there is a tremendous relaxation in the body and the mind. The body and the mind is temporarily relieved of the tension of separation, the contraction of the separate self. And as a result, the body, one of the ways it expresses this is through weeping or laughter. So beauty, what is called beauty, is that experience, the dissolution of separation. Now, the mind is not present there, because the mind was present as the separating thought. So when beauty takes place, the mind is not there. So the mind knows nothing of beauty. Yeah. When the conditioned mind comes back again, it notices that the world has been changed by this non-event. The body has been changed. So the mind then thinks, okay, you, that object, created or was responsible for this experience, and therefore it invests the object with a sense of beauty, and it says it is beauty. Exactly the same thing happens in relation to love. You are lovable, but in the experience of love, the other is not present. The inside self and the outside other are not present. In the experience of beauty, the inside self and the outside object are not present. It's only the mind that comes back later and says, you caused me to feel love. You caused me to feel beauty. And then, when this person no longer causes me to feel love, we then start disliking them, and the conflicts then begin in the relationship, because we feel, you used to produce love for me, that's why I wanted to be with you, so that I could continually get love from you. Now you're no longer doing that. It's not their fault, they weren't doing it in the first place. Having projected this role onto them to produce love in our lives, now that they are no longer doing that, then we think, I don't want you, I want another one. Or the conflicts begin, and So what is it about some objects? Does this mean that all objects equally have the capacity to precipitate this experience? In theory, yes, all objects, because we never experience an object. So all apparent objects, at any moment this understanding could be revealed to us, that there are no objects and subjects in experience. It's always non-duality at every moment. Anything could precipitate that. That could just come out of the blue. In practice, for most of us, we either hear something or see something. For most of us, we hear something first, some words. We read something. But it could equally happen through a perception. We see something, a work of art, or just walking in nature. And that there are some objects, and I'm speaking more relatively now, that have the capacity to precipitate this experience. And those are objects that are made with this understanding, that come from this understanding. So if an artist, I don't mean that they have to be formulating it in the way I'm formulating it. They may never have heard of non-duality or thought about it, but nevertheless, if their work comes from this feeling understanding, then whatever they make will be endowed, imbued with this understanding, and will have the capacity to give this understanding back to the viewer. So if a painting, if someone when they're painting a landscape, they're not really painting objects. They're painting as Cézanne was, they're painting, not even painting light, but painting the knowing of experience. Then somehow, magically, the painting has the power, and it is a kind of power that a work of art has, to deliver this understanding back to the viewer. And that is why we are so moved sometimes when we see a painting or read a poem or hear a piece of music, or when we're just walking in nature. It has the power, we just feel, it just dissolves us. You feel it physically, you feel your body literally dissolving. It is dissolving, your solid body is dissolving. And the true nature of your experience, your body and of the world is being revealed, made out of this luminous, empty awareness.
It's interesting you call it magical, because it's got to be that, because it's such an impossibility. You wouldn't have thought that was possible at all.
Well, it's only not possible if we think that the world is a solid physical thing.
Yeah.
But as soon as we realize that we never find this solid physical world, then the possibility that the world is intimately connected with everything we think and feel. It's not just a solid physical world, it's a world that is made out of something that is transparent and luminous and knowing and infinite, and then anything becomes possible in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great.